I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank Mrs. Christine Syriac. Christine joined the district as our interim superintendent in August during an unprecedented time in education. Her professionalism, her experience, and her commitment helped to lead Beecher Road School during the challenges of reopening in September. Her leadership is sincerely appreciated, and she will be truly missed by many, most especially me. Christine, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us this evening as well.
And I will second missing her as well.
Yes, Marcia, that's true.
Just thank
So
you.
now we will begin with, thank you. Now we'll move on with the regular agenda. 1.2 is correspondence. I don't believe we have any correspondence at this time. Marcia, I'm also going to note that absent from tonight's meeting is our secretary, Megan Genovese, and board member, Dr. David Ross.
I have that recorded as well.
Thank you. 1.3 is public comment. Is there any public comment? If you could raise your hand in the participants.
I'm not seeing anyone's hand raised, Lynn.
I don't see anyone's hand raised either, Marcia. Thank you. If we're missing anyone, shout out. We'll give you a second to unmute. Perfect. Okay, moving on to item 2 on the agenda, consent agenda. Is there anything that the board wishes to extract from the consent agenda? So may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll move to accept the consent agenda.
Jeff Townsend made the motion. Dan Cowan seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? That looks unanimous, Marcia. Thank you. We're on to item number 3 on the agenda, reports. PTO report, Joy Prudhomme, I don't know if she's on. I don't see Joy. Is there anyone from PTO who will be making a report this evening? Marcia, did you hear anything from Joy or any PTO member? I don't want to ignore anybody who might be trying.
No, I did not.
Okay. PTO, gone? Okay. 3.2, wow, we're making progress tonight. 3.2, Superintendent's report, Dr. Jonathan Budd. You're on mute, Jonathan.
How's that? Well, now I can't hear you. See, this is an unfamiliar computer now. How's that?
We can hear you.
Ah, perfect. So we're going to try to improve my use of technology in the next hour. And I want to give a big shout out first to Principal Lisa Sherman, who drove back from the middle of her dinner to help rescue our computer situation here in the superintendent's office. So that's why it looks like I might be Annalisa Sherman right now, but I assure you she's sitting on the other side of the room. Thank you, Lisa. I also want to give a special thanks also to Christine Syriac, because my role coming into a district, even such a strong district as Woodbridge, could be made alternately easy or difficult depending on how that road is paved by the interim superintendent. And indeed, Christine really paved it very well over the past few weeks. So with that, I want to thank the entire Woodbridge community for their gracious welcome of me to the Beecher community. I'm going to come back to that word community several times this evening because it's clear that Beecher Road School is an outstanding model of what can happen when a community works together on behalf of children. So first, in good news, I want to report that this afternoon, Beecher Road School hosted Mackenzie Maynard, reporter from WTNH News 8. She came to Beecher to develop a What's Right About Schools news segment. And she highlighted our outstanding kindergarten program, which blends, as I think you know, academics and play in a developmentally appropriate way to help all children succeed. And that segment should air on the evening news sometime the week of January 4th, and I'll keep the community appraised of details as I receive them. Second, as announced earlier this month by Interim Superintendent Piascyk, I want to remind the community that all students will engage in full remote learning the week of January 4th in an effort to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 following the holiday recess. It's our intention to return to in-person learning on Monday, January 11th. And if there are any changes, I will communicate them promptly to the community. Third, I would like to take a few moments to present to you a synthesis portrait of the district based on my many meetings with so many of you over the past weeks since my appointment as superintendent. So I do have a few slides to share on this, and I simply have to make sure that I can present them. So just give me a second, please. Lisa's asking me if I'm good. I wouldn't say that yet, Lisa. Don't count me on that, but just a moment. Yes, you did whisper. Yes. Okay, could I ask if you can see that? Maybe a thumbs up? Oh, perfect. So we'll see if I can get beyond the first slide as well. But I committed to the board that I would present this synthesis to you because, as a matter of fact, I have had a great time in the past few weeks having individual conversations with 78 staff members, 9 Board of Education members, and 3 parent forums that attracted approximately 60 parents. And we all as a community should be very pleased with what's happening at Beecher and very pleased with the foundation that's been laid for a great future. And in this brief presentation, I'd like to identify for you the key themes that came out to these questions. First, what is the best aspect of Beecher Road School? And second, what is one need for Beecher Road School? And I want to start with the staff's answer to what is the best aspect of Beecher Road School. And this word display, as I think you know, shows a word larger if it was responded to by more people. So if you see the largest words here, you see what I think we know is undisputed, that Beecher Road is a strong school because of the people, the kids, the community, the colleagues, the collaboration. As one teacher said to me, I feel really privileged to work here. And this is, I can assure you, not a quality that is true in every school, in every district, but it's true in this school, in this district, and it's a great asset to build on, and we will build on it. In speaking with parents and board members, the top themes there I represent with these 2 bullets. First of all, the community. Again, staff, parents, students working together to be responsive, inclusive, and welcoming, and a focus on strong academics as well as compassion, character, and kindness. I love everything about it, one parent said. And you should know that out of, I don't know, 140 people I spoke with, not one person had difficulty answering this question nearly immediately. It is a testament to everything great about the district. However, we also, in any good district, and certainly in a great district like Woodbridge, strive for continuous improvement. And that's moving toward the second point, which is what are the needs and what is perhaps one key need for Beecher. So the four themes that came up most from the staff, and I will not read these, but I will highlight those key words, focused on strengthening the community around a vision and focus, continuing to develop our curriculum and supporting staff through professional development, implementing stronger communication systems, and supporting all learners. And that includes those who might need more intervention support, as well as those who need additional enrichment. And I would observe that the WEA did a very helpful needs assessment in early December, and essentially these themes resonated with their top themes as well. Interestingly, parents and board members also saw these four themes as quite important, but also a fifth one, which is in blue at the bottom, to improve the fully remote teaching and learning at Beecher. And I'm going to say a few more words about that in a second. I will post this presentation tomorrow morning on the superintendent's section of our website so you can see it more fully, and I will email it to our staff following this meeting. But I would like to end with this image, which is actually a photograph of a bulletin board in our school social worker, Kristen DeManch's office. And when I was interviewing Kristen, she had this really intriguing thing behind her, and I asked her to speak to it, and then she sent me a picture of it. And the key thing it says, which is also in blue, is we may all be different fish, but in this school we swim together. So that's the community I want to come back to, because community is about strong continuous improvement, and it's also about building as a whole group. There is nothing that is not positive about the history of Beecher. There is nothing that's not positive about where we're going to continue to grow in the future. So with that last point about the fully remote teaching and learning, I want to spend a few moments tonight just highlighting some key things about it. And I want to start with this one principle. All of our fully remote learners and students are vital parts of the Beecher Road community. And that community that has been here in the past and will continue to be here in the future embraces those people. Now, based on the circumstances of COVID-19, the state of Connecticut permitted students to learn fully remotely this year. And at Beecher, students learning fully remotely in dedicated classes taught by remote teachers comprise a little over 20% of our learners. It's our collective interest to have the school experience of those learners be as strong as it can be, and acknowledging that those children are not in school, their education won't be precisely equal, but it should be generally comparable to the extent possible. So toward that end, beginning in January, I want to let you know that we'll be focusing on our attention on the following four key elements. One, Principal Lisa Sherman will assume direct administrative responsibility for working with me on the implementation of fully remote teaching and learning. Two, Ms. Sherman and I will lead the enactment of stronger communication structures and protocols going forward in this area. Three, working with the fully remote teachers, Ms. Sherman and I will clarify and communicate expectations for fully remote teaching and learning, including the delivery of instruction in special areas where possible. And finally, four, reprioritization of funds will allow for additional pedagogical support for teachers of fully remote students, as well as for additional professional development support for all teachers, including those teachers of in-person learners, those teachers of fully remote learners, and those teachers who teach both types of learners. And I will be speaking about these possibilities with Ms. Sherman to the fully remote teachers tomorrow afternoon and to all teachers in January. Parents and guardians of students learning fully remotely in those dedicated classes will receive a communication from my office this Wednesday highlighting these 4 key elements. But I end this report, certainly open to any questions you might have, but I end first by saying that our strong Beecher community will continue to meet head-on the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, and that includes strong teaching and learning experiences for all students, both in person and remote. Thank you very much for allowing me to join you in this excellent community, and I'm really encouraged about our continued work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'll just go through the board quickly to see if there are any questions for you. Mike, do you have any questions?
I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more. First of all, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing that information and what your plans are for the start of the new year. I'd be interested to hear a little bit more about what you're thinking about in terms of the last point of the 4 points you made on the reprioritization of funds to support professional development. You mentioned that that would be PD for all of the different conditions that in which teachers are teaching. So the fully remote, the in-person, and the teachers who are doing both. It seems like maybe you're saying that there will be opportunities for them to participate in that PD together, and then maybe there will be some specific PD for each one of those roles. Is that how you're thinking about that? I'm just, if you could just speak a little bit more to how you envision that rolling out, that would be helpful.
Sure. We are speaking tomorrow afternoon specifically with the fully remote teachers because they have some unique needs in the sense that, for example, one of them is the only person teaching grade 3, let's say, fully remote. And there's some affinity among the 8 of those people, but there are also some unique needs. We have identified a special consultant who has specific expertise in integrating technology for remote learning purposes in the K-12 arena. And she works for one of the RESCs and the Regional Education Service Centers, and she has been working with teachers in the Westport Public Schools as well as some others. And there were some title funds, some title grant funds that had been allocated to a previous specialist consultant, and in conversation with both that consultant and with the remote teachers, the expectation is that those funds could be better served by having the teachers work with somebody with specific expertise in the remote learning environment. I would say that that is our highest need at the moment. However, Principal Sherman and I will be meeting with the members of the District Professional Development and Evaluation Committee, who are teachers from across the staff, in early January, and it will also be looking to identify how this consultant and/or others could meet the needs of teachers in the building. One final point on that, I would say, is that we discussed at the curriculum committee meeting this past week how in January we'll be back at the curriculum committee outlining how a professional development structure for the rest of the year might look for all teachers based on input from those different groups.
Thank you.
Jeff Hughes, do you have any questions?
No questions. Great presentation, Jonathan. Thank you.
Joyce?
Thank you for that update. I especially appreciate, I appreciate all of it. I especially appreciate the focus on the remote learning opportunities, given that the feedback from the survey showed that there was widespread satisfaction with the in-person learning, but there seemed to be a gap on the remote learning side. And so it is heartening to me to see that there's going to be concerted effort and time spent on improving the remote learning.
Thank you, Joyce. Dan, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, I have about 5 questions, and so if I start to monopolize my time, just let me know. So my first question for you, Dr. Budd, is what was the purpose of Flex Fridays?
My understanding of Flex Friday's purpose is somewhat partial because I believe that, in fact, I know that the concept originated back in the spring when the school was at a different status for all students. And so then my understanding was that concept in some way continued in some part for the fully remote students and teachers through the past months. When I speak about working with the remote teachers to clarify expectations going forward, that topic will be part of that conversation. And whether that concept in part has utility going forward, I wouldn't be prepared tonight to talk about, but there is a kind of lengthy history with it that we will have to explore and see the extent to which it meets the needs going forward or not.
Okay. So, there was I think it was part of addendum 4, maybe 9, I forget which one, that required 4 hours of instruction time per day per pupil. And if we were utilizing Flex Fridays, how are we tracking hours of in-person instruction to make sure that if ever audited in some way that we would be able to quantify that the students met their 900 hours?
Well, if I trace this back for the past 4 months, I would say that the tracking has been done at the individual teacher level with the support of their grade level colleagues. But starting in January, we're going to have that as a direct administrative function of Principal Sherman working with me. It is addendum 4. And it does speak to the fact that the basic 900 hours of instructional time continues to be a standard for all students.
Okay. So the next question I have is you touched upon specials. And actually all my questions are in regards to remote students. So you touched upon specials, and I was curious if the special teachers are actually having face-to-face instruction time with the students, or are we utilizing a different model for providing specials?
Currently, by which I mean this week and in the past, my understanding is the vast majority, if not all, of the specials for the fully remote students, those students are receiving asynchronous instruction. That is, materials that can be done with the student without live interaction from the teacher. However, that's going to be one of the topics that has our attention going forward. And the basic premise of this is that, and actually it was spoken to by some of the people I talked with, Beecher in its richness has a strong commitment to the arts, to physical education and wellness, and to, we call them specials, but they shouldn't be confused as supplemental. They're part of the whole child education. And so from a richness perspective, that will be a topic that the administration has an update for with the board in January at its meeting, if not sooner.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. So it sounds like most of the answers will come in January with an update then. So I look forward to that meeting.
We will have more answers then.
Thank you, Dan. Jeff Townsend, any questions?
I was delighted with that summary of the intentions for the next month of things to develop and build, and I just look forward to hearing what we have developed coming up the next month. I think the priorities are right on target, and I'm excited to see the beginning of 2021 at Beecher Road School.
Thank you, Jeff. Laura?
Thank you for your enthusiasm, Jonathan. That was a great report. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about the consultant from the RESC. And I think that is a wonderful move. And I think that we will gain a lot from doing that. So thank you. Thumbs up.
Thank you, Laura. Jonathan, I add my thanks for your fine report and for really, in a month, getting a real sense of the school and the community. So thank you for your hard work.
Very easy to do in a great community. Thank you.
I think we're ready to move on to 3.2.1, authorize to hire for board clarification in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 10-151B. When there's a change in leadership, the superintendent must be authorized by the Board of Education to hire staff. So that's why we're doing that. We did it for Christine, now we're doing it for Jonathan. So I'll need a motion.
So moved.
Laura made the motion. Do I have a second? Jeff Hughes. So the motion, I believe, is to authorize the superintendent to hire staff for the Woodbridge School District in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 10-151B, effective December 14, 2020. All those in favor? I think it's unanimous. I'm searching, but I think it's unanimous. Marcia, thank you. Great. Moving on to 3.2.2, adopt 2021-2022 calendar. Jonathan, do you have anything you want to add about the calendar?
Yes, Interim Superintendent Syriac had reached out to the WEA to receive their feedback on the proposed calendar, and I did receive their feedback, and based on that, I would like to propose one adjustment to the calendar you have. And it's a unanimous request, I'm told, by our kindergarten team to move the open house, currently proposed for September 14th, to September 2nd instead. So that would put the kindergarten open house the same night as the grades 5 and 6 open house. And the advantage of that change for the kindergarten teachers is to speak with the parents of students in their classes as early as possible in the year, since those parents could be very new to the Beecher community, and alleviate some of their concerns. They also observed that having kindergarten with grade 5 and 6 could be less of an impact to parking than kindergarten with grades 1 and 2. So again, in summary, that would be moving the kindergarten open house from September 14th to September 2nd.
Thanks, Jonathan. So I'm looking for a motion that we approve the 2021-2022 calendar with the adjustment of the kindergarten open house from September 14th to September 2nd. Do I have a motion? Joyce Shavers. Do I have a second? Laura. All those in favor? Is there any discussion? Any concerns about the calendar or kindergarten moving? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous, Marcia. Okay. Moving right along, we are up to BRS update. And Lisa Sherman, who is going to have to get her computer from Jonathan Budd.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Thanks for being a savior tonight.
I was just saying, I say all the time that I only live, 5 minutes away. So, oh, Jonathan's trading with me. So it was true tonight. So no big deal at all.
Great.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. Thanks for allowing me to be with all of you. Just a few really quick updates for you. The first being that I wanted to share with you that I don't know if you know this already, but this week we are having a very special Spirit Week, and our staff and students are dressing in different themes each day. So today was Pajama Day. Something about little kids walking into school in their PJs makes them appear even cuter than they already are. So that was really fun. Tomorrow we have Crazy Hat and Sock Day, and then we have Ugly Festive Sweater Day. And this is all brought to us by our amazing student council members who are, working to keep our community together and strong and moving forward in happy, positive ways. So way to go, student council. Another quick update is that report cards were distributed recently, so all parents should have received their child's report card. If for some reason you didn't, then definitely please let us know and we can send it out. Remote parents received theirs via mail, and our in-person students received theirs a hard copy sent home in their backpacks. Another quick update is that some of our remote students engaged in a beep and greet. Our kindergarten and first grade students today were greeted by their teachers who were dressed up as matching reindeers. It was quite adorable, and they were greeted, and it was really fun to see all the smiling faces drive by, and they received some packets and some books and things that they would need in the coming weeks for learning. And one more quick update, two more actually quick updates. Our new music teacher, Miss Lisa Zima, is going to be joining with some other adults to provide some music to the staff and students entering the building. We're going to see if we can try and record it and send it out to the remote learners as well so they can enjoy that. Traditionally, our band teacher, Mr. Lech, has provided music, holiday songs, greeting students around this time, and Miss Merrill, our assistant principal, was trying to think about a way to make this happen again. So she contacted Miss Sima, and they're working together to make that happen. And last update is that I will be reading a live stream. So the whole entire school is going to be able to participate in a live stream read aloud of a beautiful book called In a Jar. It's a picture book, and it's absolutely glorious and stunning illustrations. And I will be challenging our students to share and think about things that they might want to collect in a jar over winter break. So that is it for me for now. Are there any questions? If not, I'm going to swing my computer. So everybody close your eyes so I don't make you dizzy, and I will swing my computer back on over to Jonathan. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, safe, and healthy, happy holidays. Enjoy the winter break.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Okay, next on the agenda is 3.3, upcoming meeting presentation. January meeting presentation will be the 2021-2022 budget. We asked last month if there was anything that board members had specifically that they wanted included in the presentation. I didn't hear from anybody, but I'm going to ask once again so that the Finance Committee and Al Pulo and Jonathan the rest of the administration can work on that presentation for our next meeting. If you have anything that you have thought of, feel free to shout out. Joyce.
I had talked about this before, but it would be very helpful from a presentation standpoint, whether it's to the Board of Education or to the Board of Finance on the town side, to take a look at the budget in at least two different ways. One is to show what the increases are for special education versus that for general education, any changes in the population as a percentage of the overall budget? What do the funds represent? Those kinds of data points I think would be very helpful. The other cut would be showing the budget in terms of what our contractual obligations are and versus what our discretionary spending is, because at the end of the day, I think it's very helpful to see that there isn't actually a lot in the discretionary bucket, but to break that out, I think would be helpful for all of us to take a look at.
Thank you for that, Joyce. Dan?
So I concur with Joyce that seeing discretionary versus non-discretionary spending is vital, and especially if we have a goal of trying to hold the line on our total expenditure for educating the child. I know that we, have to spend the same amount every year we can spend no less than we spent last year to educate every child by statute, but that does not mean that we cannot spend that money more wisely every year. So I think that that's our real goal, is to see how do we spend that same amount of money with more efficacy. That's a word. More effectively. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else on anything in particular in the budget presentation? All right, if you think of anything in the next week or so, certainly shoot off an email to Jonathan, Al, me, and we'll make sure that it gets where it's supposed to get, and we address whatever issues you would like to have addressed with that presentation. Thanks, board members. 3.4, Facilities Committee. Jeff Hughes.
Thanks, Lynn. Yes, we met December 11th at 7:30. Vito, as usual, gave a very robust report. A lot of little minor repairs were done since the previous meeting. They were getting ready for snow removal. I think they did a great job this time, so thank you for your help for that monster of a storm. And then just some with a K-wing roof coming up in fiscal year 2022. So things are in motion in that sense. That'd be it.
Thank you, Jeff. Does anyone have any questions about facilities? Other than I share your kudos to the facility staff for the snow removal with this past storm and being prepared for the students' arrival when they came back to school. I would just remind everyone that the next meeting of the Facilities Committee, I believe, is Friday, January 8th at 7:30. If I'm wrong about that, somebody shout out. Great. 3.5 is Finance Committee report. Joyce?
There are 3 areas that I'd like to talk about. One is the capital budget. The second is our current operating budget. And the third is our next year's budget. So with respect to the capital budget request, as you probably know, we requested $450,000, which was for the K1 roofing, asphalt, sidewalk, and technology projects. This was a very large request, and the town not only said yes, but they also suggested adding $210,000 on top of that to include the refurbishment of the roofing over the D wing and over the library. So I just want to underscore the generosity that the town has shown the school in spending more than $200,000 in addition to the large amount that we were asking for. And I think that it's important to show appreciation for the most recent example of the town's support of Beecher Road School. the operating budget shows a projected $100,000 deficit, which is just a little bit less than what we saw last year, and I mean last month. And so it looks like it netted out not to be that much of a difference, but in fact there was a lot of netting back and forth going on within that number. So that deficit now includes the $18,000 lunch program loss, which it did not before. This deficit also includes a new $44,000 outplacement expense. And these costs were covered by a $77,000 placeholder for the health insurance that the long-term substitute teachers were entitled to, but this declined at the end of the day. So as you can see, it was a bit of good news and bad news that pretty much netted out each other. So for next year's operating budget, the town has graciously allowed us to have almost a month extra time to put together our budget. We thought it was, and the town agreed, we wanted to give Jonathan more than just a week to prepare the budget. And so this amount of time is the maximum amount of time that is possible given the timeline that is laid out in our town charter. So again, this is very kind of the town to extend the extra time to us to kind of figure things out. Just a few dates to bear in mind. We have the presentation to the town that's going to take place on January 21st. Working backwards, the presentation to the Board of Ed is going to be 2 days earlier, January 19th. And the presentation to the Finance Committee is going to take place January 11th. So if there is one finance meeting that you are at all interested in coming to, that would be the meeting to come to. So just a few things, a brief preview of what we're looking at. There is a projected 20% health insurance increase based on our claims trend. Our contribution toward the non-certified pension plan is going to increase 1.5% to a total of 16.7%, which is following this trend that is going on where the state is ramping up the employer portion every year. We will also be able to see the results of our voluntary early retirement plan outcomes, and I think that's it for now.
Great. Does anyone have any questions of Joyce? About Finance Committee? Good. I would just like to reiterate that the next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 11 at 6:30 p.m. That's the week before the presentation to the Board of Ed, full Board of Ed. Thank you, Joyce. Curriculum Committee report, Mike Strambler.
Yeah, so we met on December 16th after not having met for several months. So it was our first curriculum meeting in a while. The presentation focused on mostly had an emphasis on remote instruction, and we had presentations by Jonathan, Lisa, and Cheryl. Jonathan led with some remarks that were consistent with some of the things he just mentioned today, having to do with continuous improvement, celebrating some of our successes and maintaining collaboration. Lisa shared sort of a review of trimester 1 of curriculum preparation and some of the strategies that were used and approaches towards assessment, which were delayed to give more of an emphasis on social emotional learning. Cheryl talked about how we addressed special services during this period, and Jonathan gave an update on some of his conversations with teachers and parents over his time entering as a new superintendent. Some questions that were raised by board members had to do with equity between the remote learners and the in-person learners. Questions were raised about assessments and how we're going to gauge the performance and the growth in instruction and social and emotional learning. And how we're going to specialize some of the training, especially curriculum training for remote teachers and learners. Responses to some of these questions will be provided at the next curriculum meeting, which will be on January 21st at 4:30. So we're going back to our original time of having those meetings on the third Thursday of every month. We switched it last time because we had some conflicts. So we had to adjust the time, but we'll be going back to the third Thursday of every month, beginning in January.
Laura, do you have a question?
Yes, could we move the time to 4:45? I can't make it till 4:45. Is that?
Why don't we talk about, can we talk about that, Laura?
Sure.
Outside of the board meeting and
That's fine. That's fine.
See how that works for other board members?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else for Mike and the curriculum committee? Okay, we're moving on to 3.7, policy committee report. Megan is not here this evening, but we had policy 4118.237 masks for staff and 5141.8 masks for students, as well as policy 4118.23 Title IX for staff and policy 5145.44 Title IX for students on 30-day review. So I'm looking for a motion, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. Can I have a motion to adopt those policies?
I'll move to adopt those policies.
Okay, Jeff Townsend. And do I have a second? Mike Strambler. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Jonathan, do you have anything you want to say about that? About the policies?
I did take a look at the policies in terms of what CABE recommends to us and in terms of what other districts have adopted for these, and appreciating that there is some reasonable divergence of board member opinions about language. I totally respect that. I can say that this is within the realm of certainly what CABE has recommended for districts to adopt.
Okay, Dan?
So I just would like to voice my opinion again that I feel that both the masking policies for students and teachers are inappropriate and should not be policies, that I believe that they should be rules and not policies. They should be handled in a different way. And as far as the Title IX, would you like me to make my objection to that right now, or let somebody else speak on the masking and vote on the masking before speaking?
I don't know. Jonathan, do you have any comment about the mask policy in response to Dan's question, and then we'll go back to him for Title IX?
Certainly, some boards have gone in that direction to say it's more of a procedural rule. I will say that the State Department of Education encouraged local districts to make a decision by board policy. But like all sorts of other things, it is up to the discretion of the board whether to do that through policy or through handbook kind of rules.
Can I comment, Lynn? Just because, so Megan and I are on the policy committee. Unfortunately, Megan can't be here tonight, but both of us felt that it was appropriate to adopt it as a policy because we felt that it was important for the administration to sort of have something to turn to point to why they were making the use.
Thank you. Thank you both for that. Dan, do you have another question about masks, or do you want to move on to Title IX?
No, I've said my piece many times about masks. So,
Do you want to move on to Title IX, Dan?
sure. I object to the Title IX policies as presented, specifically on page 18 of the students version and 18 of the staff version, or certified and non-certified personnel version, I guess you call it. And I just want to ensure that we are using the clear and convincing evidence standard on both of them. It is my personal belief that that is the appropriate standard for these policies.
Jonathan, do you want to comment on that, or do you want me to?
I would just say, like the prior policy, I was not on board when the policy committee discussed this. Local districts, as you can see where Dan references and a few other places, have the option of choosing either to continue the preponderance of evidence standard, which is what has been true, or to set the higher bar of clear and convincing standard, clear and convincing evidence as the standard. CABE's recommendation is to continue with the preponderance of evidence. I think with the idea that sexual harassment is a scourge that we want to certainly try to eliminate, and not to set a higher bar for those investigative determinations. On the other hand, I totally respect that a total board could say we want to set the higher bar, and it's in the board's discretion either way.
Thank you. I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought we might have gotten some legal opinion on that as well. Can you help on that, Jeff Townsend?
Yes, we did get a legal opinion on it, and the legal opinion that we received, although there might be a diversity out there, the opinion that we received was that sticking with the preponderance of evidence was the better legal opinion. And Megan and I, again, both felt that it was best to stick with the preponderance of evidence criterion for moving on these, for the legal reasons, but also because of, as Jonathan said, our desire to make sure that our community understands how important and how critical maintaining a good environment is for all of our workers.
Although I don't doubt that all members of this community think that sexual harassment is a scourge that should be routed out in every corner of the district, I don't think we would have been given the option for the clear and convincing evidence standard had there not been abuses of Title IX policy in the past. So I think that this comes out of the fact that Title IX has been abused and can cause districts problems. And so I think that that was why the option was given to us. And at that point, I will rest.
Okay, Dan, thank you. Any other comments about any of these policies, any of these 4 policies? Okay, seeing no other discussion. I just want to point out that the Title IX policy, I don't believe we have any Title IX policy in place at this time. Is that correct, Marcia?
That is correct. Title IX is referred to in several different policies throughout the policy manual, but these are new policies for the books.
Okay, so masks, we have a policy, but we're changing it. Title IX, these are two new policies, just to be clear. All right, so since there was so much discussion on this, I'm going to call the roll to vote just to make sure that we record it properly. So the motion is to adopt the 4 policies that we talked about, 2 mask policies and 2 Title IX policies, 1 for student and 1 for staff. Mike Strambler,
Yes.
Jeff Hughes,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Dan,
No.
Jeff Townsend,
Yes.
Laura, yes, okay. And I vote yes, so the motion carries 6-1, Marcia, with Dan Cowan voting no. Thank you. We are moving on to new business. Dr. Budd.
Yes, everyone. As I said earlier, in my first weeks in Woodbridge, I've been really compelled by the excellence of the Beecher staff, including 7 individuals in particular who will be retiring at the conclusion of this school year. Together, they represent 183 years of dedicated service to the Woodbridge School District. And the board is going to take official action tonight on 4 certified staff retirements. But I'll begin by recognizing 3 non-certified staff retirements, as these individuals also have helped make Beecher the gem it is today. And I want to say the observations I'm going to share about each person are informed by my impressions, as well as input from Ms. Sherman, Ms. Merrill, and Ms. Kiesel, who join with me in expressing their bittersweet feelings at announcing these retirements. First, Judy Mays will be retiring after 17 years of dedicated service as administrative assistant for the Special Services Department. Judy has been called the backbone of that department, knowing every family's preferences and keeping every aspect of the department's functioning very well organized. Marie Sposa will be retiring after 32 years of dedicated service as a teaching assistant. Marie is universally described as dedicated to her work, including arriving early and responding promptly to all requests for assistance. Jill Brostrom will be retiring after 34 years of dedicated service as a teaching assistant. Jill's knowledge and organization has supported many aspects of Beecher, including its Library Media Center, where she was always willing to lend a hand. And now turning to our certified staff retirements on which the board will take action. Jean Malot will be retiring after 16 years of dedicated service as a math specialist. Characterized as deeply knowledgeable and passionate about math, Jean has cared deeply for the students with whom she has worked. She has also helped our classroom teachers develop curriculum and assessment resources for math that have evolved as our state and national standards have advanced. Lori Patrick will be retiring after 24 years of dedicated service as a library media specialist. Lori's dedication has helped make the Stella Library Media Center the hub of the school that it is today. I'm told that Lori could help any student find a book in which the student was interested, even when the request was crazy or bizarre or unique. In classrooms across our school, Lori's expertise with book selection has been felt and appreciated. Peter Halsey will be retiring after 26 years of dedicated service as a classroom teacher, most recently at grade 2. A regional and national expert on responsive classroom, Peter has brought to Beecher exactly those qualities important to that program: good listening, thoughtful reflection, and an interest in every single student and colleague to the person's core. Peter's incredible dedication to all aspects of the Beecher community has been unparalleled. Finally, Jean Dempsey will be retiring after 34 years of dedicated service as a classroom teacher in our kindergarten program. Jean and her colleagues have made Beecher's kindergarten program what it is today, a place that introduces our youngest students into the joy of learning and discovery. A compassionate, giving, and tireless advocate of early childhood education, Jean has set the learning foundation for literally thousands of children who are now highly functioning adults. Lynn, joining my colleagues, it's with deeply bittersweet feelings that I bring these retirements to you this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Budd. Personally, it touches my heart to see these people leave because they're my colleagues and friends. Brings a little tear to my eyes, too. So, but I must tell them that retirement is filled with wonderful, wonderful opportunities. And you, too, could be on a board of education. You know how much I love and care for each of you. So you have my best wishes. I need a motion, and I'll wipe my tear while I ask for a motion from a board member, please.
I move that we accept the retirements of Jean Dempsey, Peter Halsey, Jean Marlowe, and Lori Patrick, effective June 30th, 2021, with regret.
Thank you, Dan. Do I have a second? Laura, thank you. All those board members in favor, we can probably just raise our hands for this one. It's hard to raise our hands when we're losing such wonderful assets to our school district. I can't thank you enough. I don't know if I see many of your faces, and I don't know if any of you have a comment that you wish to make at this time. All right, don't all jump up. We'll wait and let you think about what you'd like to say to the board at some point, perhaps. Thank you again for everything that you've done for the Beecher Road School community, for the teachers, for the kids, and for the other, and for the parents as well. It really is. It's amazing, those number of years when you add them up. So I thank you. Okay, we're moving on to other. Is there any other? Seeing no other, I'll move on to public comment. I don't see any hands raised in public comment. Marcia, do you?
No, I'm not seeing any either.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:17 p.m. I wish David Roth was here tonight, right, Joyce? He would want to make that motion. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you, Jeff Townsend. Do I have a second? Joyce Shavers? All those in favor? Thank you. And now that we're adjourned, I'd like to wish everyone a very, very happy new year. I'm hoping for health for everyone. Enjoy, teachers and staff members, please enjoy your break. Board members, our night isn't over. Remember that there's a link from Dr. Budd for a non-meeting following this meeting. Jonathan, I think you posted it for 8:30. Do we need to wait?
No, you should be able to get in.
Okay, great. Marcia, thank you for hosting and for taking the notes this evening. Everyone have a great evening.
Happy
You
New
as well. Have a great